it before roll call, but why does
All right,
it?
we are live.
Live and
Happy
direct.
St. Patrick's Day, Podfeed.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. Steve made us do our colors green.
Yeah.
Now show the two different hue lights that don't agree on what color green is.
That one's green, the stick light. But this lamp here, that's as green as hue can make it. I think I got a defective lamp.
But they're both green. They're both hue. The stick light is green, and that's a hue. And then that little, go grab the bowl light. Can you reach it from where you are, or would you have to unplug?
It's actually on the desk, on the same table as the yellow light.
Right, and that's also hue.
And that's green. It's just the standing lamp, or the table lamp, that's yellow for some reason. We'll not get fixated on that. We'll just let it be a yellow St. Patrick's tinge.
Let's get busy being obsessed with why my audio sounds funny. It just sounds weird to me. It sounds like, Kurt, I was saying before you came on, when I'm listening to playback, it sounds like it's not centered on my ears. It sounds like it's coming from behind me a little bit. And everybody says it's quiet.
So someone was asking about spatial audio. I don't know if you can actually produce that.
I don't know how to do it.
I don't think
that's what it feels like.
I don't think you can produce that. I'm not sure, but
I don't know. So here's a playback now. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeed.com. You know, I'm going to play something just normal.
Something just occurred to me. Do you have your headphones on backwards?
It's possible.
I'm joking. I don't think that would make a difference.
I think there's no letters on them here somewhere. Nope, they're on the right way.
All right.
It's me talking behind you. Oh, good, Kevin. I'm going to just play some other audio back to myself real quick here, just to make sure I'm not hallucinating here. Well, yeah, I don't know. Well, we'll find out. All right. I think I'm going to go ahead and start. It's not going to be a long show. What's that, Steve?
How about a roll call?
Oh, roll call. Yes, we have Seamus, who's correcting us on how to spell St. Patty's Day, and Brett and Kevin and Bruce and Dave Ginsburg and Fallen and Frank, who was the only one who pointed out to me that I forgot to post Chit Chat Across the Pond Programming by Stealth yesterday after I announced it, and Jill and Mr. Ed and John and Payon. Can't remember Payon's name.
Is Payon new?
No, Pound's been around, but I can't remember their name. And Sandy and Steve. It's a full house tonight.
Michael is Payon. Welcome back, Michael.
All right. Well, let's see. I'm going to put you back over there, me over here. And I hope, usually when you guys tell me the sound is funny, the sound actually is funny, and we find out something later that goes horribly wrong.
Well,
and Kurt, wait. Oh, Kurt must be in the sidebar. That's why I didn't call you out. Sorry, Kurt. Yeah, if I don't see you in the regular live show listen thing, so you're over in the sidebar. That's why. Nuclear John hasn't been here in a while, and he's sitting over in the sidebar. He's online, but he's listening to somebody else. All right, should I get started, Steve?
Yes, by all means.
All right, here we go. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeed.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, March 17th, 2024, and this is show number 984. And I forgot to link to Chit Chat Across the Pond. One moment, please. Blog post, programming by stealth. Let's see. Sorry. Forgot to do. All right. Okay, you're going to be missing one chapter, Steve.
Okay.
If you're okay with that. I can, it's the Chit Chat Across the Pond one. So I'm going to put in a chapter mark. This week's Programming by Stealth was a lecture series. I will show you what I mean in a moment when you see the waveform go in. Oh, no, you won't see that. But Chit Chat Across the Pond, Bart was on a roll, man. It was all lecture, and it was great, but I didn't have anything to say. So, like, you don't see me, if you look at the waveform, you see like bleep, and then Bart talks for a long time, and then bleep, this little thing. So, all right. No, wrong one. This one. There we go. In this week's episode of Programming by Stealth, Bart Busschots, as usual, walks through his solution to the challenge from last time, and as usual, I learn a lot more about how to use JQ to solve problems. He takes a bit of a detour to explain a fun email we got from Jill of Kent, in which she explained the vast number of headaches you'll run into when trying to alphabetize names, no matter the language. Then we buckle down and learn about how to make trade-offs between speed and efficiency of resources, and how JQ lookups can help us with that. Bart also helps us understand when lookups can help us with querying JSON files. This episode is more of a lecture, which is fine because he's introducing a new concept and explaining some of the philosophy behind it. You won't hear me breaking into the conversation very much, but it's only because I wasn't confused. Don't worry, when we get to the final example, you'll hear me get very confused. Bart explains it at least 3 to 4 times, and you'll finally hear why your co-host was confused. It's kind of ironic, actually. Anyway, you can find this episode of Programming by Stealth in your podcatcher of choice, and you can find Bart's fabulous tutorial show notes over at pbs.bartificer.net. All right. Okay. Putting my chapter mark. Always negotiate with your ISP. I had fun with this one. There it is. This is a funny story. Did John sneak in late?
It appears John is here.
All right. Oh, you did negotiation too? I'm going to have to hear about that. A year ago last November, Steve and I finally cut the cord. We gave up our cable TV service and switched everything over to streaming using YouTube TV. That left only 2 things with our ISP, Frontier, our Fios internet, and our landline phone. We have saved a fortune from cutting the cord, and by fortune, I mean $1,217 per year. That's not chump change. When I negotiated the pricing with Frontier, the lovely person who helped me set it up told me I was getting a promotional pricing. I remember saying to her, so when this promotional pricing is over, I just call back and you find me new promotional pricing, right? And she said, yep, that's how it works. Well, 2 months ago, Steve came to me with our Frontier bill, and it had gone up by $10 a month. I looked at it, and $10 wasn't enough to make me take on that battle, so we decided to just let it ride. Then it went up a little bit more, and then even more. After 3 months of this, our Frontier bill had gone from $62 to $94, which is an increase of 50%. It was time to call Frontier. I called them on the phone, and I was greeted with those dreaded words, "We are experiencing greater than expected call volumes." The recording offered to have someone call me back in 25 minutes and I wouldn't lose my place in line. I agreed, and at 25 minutes exactly, the phone rang and I was connected to Tiffany. After exchanging pleasantries with Tiffany, I simply said, "My bill went up 50%. I don't want to pay that. So how do we make it go back down?" She said she could help. She did a bit of typing on her end, put me on hold, and then I was transferred to Keandra. As is often the case with this kind of thing, Keandra came on with no idea why I was calling. I was a smidge aggravated, as I always am when this happens, when I have to repeat myself, but then she said, "I'm in retention." Well, those are magical words because it means her job is to make me happy so I won't leave Frontier. I told Keandra that I would be delighted to repeat what I'd explained to Tiffany just a few minutes ago. Keandra took just a couple of minutes to come up with a promotional deal that made my new bill $1.50 less than it was before they started increasing our bill. I thought we were done, but Keandra had more for me. She pointed out that we had a landline, and I had to apologize for being old school. She said she was obligated to let me know that landline phones require power to operate, and that in the event of a power outage, our phone would not work. I didn't tell her that we have a whole home battery with our Tesla Powerwalls because I wanted to see where she was going with this. She went on to tell me that she could send me a battery to put on our modem so we'd still have phone service if we lost power. Well, I wasn't going to do this, of course, because I already had the whole home battery system, and actually my modem's on a UPS, but I asked her, how much would that cost me? She told me that since I lived in California, she was required to give it to me for free. Well, heck, a free battery that I don't need? That sounded pretty good. So I said, sign me up. After I got off the phone, I told Steve about it, and he questioned why I accepted a battery if I didn't need it. I said, because it's a free battery. I don't know, he didn't get it. A few days later, a package came from Frontier, but it was too light to be a battery. I opened it up, and inside was something unexpected. It was an Eero 6 Plus mesh router with power supply and an Ethernet cable. The 6 Plus is touted as the most affordable of the Eero lineup, but it's still a dual-band router that supports gigabit speeds, and if bought individually, they're $140. Well, that's way better than a battery I don't need. I thought about calling Frontier and telling them they'd made a mistake, but in my experience, giving things back to companies is often very difficult. I remember years ago when Nordstrom made a $100 error in my favor on my credit card, and I talked to 3 different people who could never figure out how to take my money back. I was still struggling with the moral dilemma of whether to spend my time trying to give the Eero back when our buddy Ron came over for dinner. I told him the story, and he said Frontier had sent him a battery a year or so ago, and it turned out to be something he couldn't even use. So to explain what it was and what it was supposed to be for, I have to do some explanation of terms. FiOS stands for Fiber Optic Service, and it means that the service is delivered to you over fiber optic cables that transmit information as light. Well, that light has to be separated into TV, voice, and data as electrical signals into your home. The box that does this translation from optical to electrical energy and separates the signals is called an Optical Network Terminal, or ONT. The ONT is a box that's often outside the home or inside the garage. In our case, it's outside our house. Now, the battery Frontier sent to Ron was for the ONT. But what they didn't remember was that they had just replaced his ONT with a new version that doesn't require a battery to remain functional in a power outage. And we're not exactly sure how it does that, but he's had a few power outages and his internet and phone service stayed up. His ONT does have a circular port on it that says backup, but the cable on the battery they sent him had a completely different size circular port, or plug, I should say. Well, once I heard Ron's story, we imagined, Phil in shipping at Frontier just grabbing any old box he could get his hands on, shipping them out when he got an order. I didn't want to get Phil in trouble, so I added the Eero 6 Plus to my network, so I now have 6 Eeros flooding my house with the Wi-Fis. Now, 6 seems like overkill, but before this, my cell phone on Wi-Fi calling never worked near my refrigerator till I set up that 6th one in the kitchen. Then a few days later, another package arrived from Frontier. I think Phil in shipping, man, he outdid himself on this one. It wasn't another Eero, and it wasn't a battery for my modem as Keandra had told me I'd been receiving. And it wasn't exactly a battery for my ONT either. It was a plastic box into which I could put 12 D-cell batteries and then plug the box into my ONT. Seriously, 12 D-cells, right? Well, I didn't even bother to see if the plug would fit into our ONT because there's no way I was going to invest in 12 D-cell batteries, then put the box outdoors just to time how long it would take them to corrode. Also, there's no room in the box where the ONT lives on the side of my house to fit in another battery box. Now, I should also mention that in addition to our whole home battery, we already have a battery attached to our ONT. I would have mentioned this to Keandra if she'd told me it was an ONT battery they were going to send, but she said it was for the modem. I thought maybe it was going to be a UPS. Anyway, I guess I've learned that a free battery doesn't always mean a free battery. Now, the bottom line here is that you should always, always, always call your internet service provider if they raise your rates, because you might just be able to get them to make it go back down. Other than the 25 minutes to be called back when I wasn't really inconvenienced, my time on the phone was no more than 7 minutes. If they offer to send you something free, say yes, because Phil might just find you some nice Eero mesh router in the back of the storage. Then again, he might send you something ready-made for the hazardous waste disposal. There's a sentence repeated in that, Sandy. I said the same thing twice. Say yes if they offer to send you something for free. No, if they offer to send you something for free, say yes if they offer to send you something for free.
Twice. They have to say it twice for you to receive it.
And I found a punctuation mistake, Sandy.
Do you want me to change port to plug?
Why don't I do it? Because I'm editing this other thing. Plug. Thank you. And I think I didn't close a quote really close to the beginning. Yeah. Yep, that's how it works. Didn't have a close quote. All right. Set that one to... Yeah. Can you imagine? What did 12 D-cell batteries cost? It's like you got to remortgage your house.
And they're going to sit there doing nothing and corrode, as you say. It's just a losing battle.
Yeah, I mean, right. We're going to put it outside, and they're just going to sit there. You know, batteries really like just sitting there. I find that's their real strength. I don't hear you, Allison. La la la. I was just talking about cutting her pay. So, all right. All right. Copy link. We're going to play another of the great CES videos that, I'm going to play another one of the CES interviews that Steve has so painstakingly created painstaking sounds bad. I'm going to play another one of the CES interviews that Steve has done so much work to create the videos and audio files for you. Now, this one is probably really fun to go watch in video because you're going to see me doing something funny with it, but it's a thing called Glide. It's a self-guided mobility aid, and in the video, you'll see me with my eyes closed driving this little thing around, and it's really, really cool. But if you listen to the audio, there's a cool thing about that too, because I'm describing to you what I'm seeing, which is nothing at all. So I'm describing my experience, and I think it'll give you a little more insight about what it was like to be the one driving this if you were visually impaired. Anyway, let's take a listen to the interview with Glidance about the product Glide. $20. Yeah, that's too much money. All right. See how that goes. I'm going to listen to my voice and then the recording. There's a cool thing about that too, because I'm really impaired. Anyway, let's take a listen to the interview with Glidance about the product Glide. I'm with Amos Miller from a company called Glidance, and he's going to show us a really terrific accessibility tool that he's the co-founder of the company Glidance, I believe, correct?
I am the CEO and co-founder of Glidance, correct?
So talk to us about what this device can do.
All right, so Glide is, first of all, I'll just explain that the Glide is the first self-guided mobility aid for people with sight loss. So really developing a solution that addresses the needs of people who need to get around, who are unable to see, and providing people with really with a third alternative. Today people use guide dogs and canes, and we know that for some people they need some more help, especially people who lose their sight later in life. So that's the origin of the work that led to the development of Glide.
So why is that important to people later in life more than if they'd lost their vision earlier or if they were born blind?
That's a great question. I mean, people who are born blind build a mental map of their world and build the skills and capabilities to navigate in the world from a very early age. And by the way, I'm not saying that people who are born blind will not benefit from Glide. They will. And I'm sure that they will enjoy the benefits that Glide brings in terms of this really very clear and guided navigation, which we'll talk about in a minute. But people who lose their sight later in life, sometimes are reluctant to take those steps to develop the skill set that's required to be an effective cane user and get out and about independently.
So maybe it's like learning a language later. You're always translating. If you're born speaking two languages, you spoke two languages. You're not translating. Maybe it's something like that.
It is, yes, and it's also being alert to the information that you get from your environment and being able to orient based on that. It's also a mental adjustment, and like being willing to walk out there and try for a while before you build that confidence. And I think one of the benefits of that Glide can bring to that is that really very quickly, because it actually guides you, a person who knows let's say, how to get around their neighborhood would be able to take a walk very quickly with it.
So I'm going to describe what this looks like to the audience, because there's audio-only listeners as well, and heck, there's blind people listening as well. So he's got a...
By the way, just for the audience, I am actually blind myself. Maybe just worth explaining that I lost my sight in my 20s from retinitis pigmentosa. I've been at this kind of quest to figure out technological solutions for navigation for quite some time, maybe 3 decades now. I developed Soundscape at Microsoft for a number of years. So some of your listeners may be familiar with that.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to stop that for a second. So, Kurt in particular, you weren't here when I was first having this problem, but listen to the playback of my voice and tell me, does it sound a lot different than what you're hearing from me directly? It's a thing called Glide. It's a self-guided mobility aid. And in the video, you'll see me with my eyes closed driving this little thing around. And it's really, really cool. But if you listen to the audio, there's a cool thing about that too, because I'm describing to you what I'm seeing, which is, it doesn't sound bad. It just sounds different.
You may be able to hear things we can't because you have higher fidelity headphones and a more direct path. You're not hearing it through Discord, right? You're hearing it directly from your recording or from your mic.
Yeah.
So you have a different path you're listening through.
Kurt says it has less richness. And then Jill said agreed, but I don't know if that was agreed to Kurt. It sounds faded. I have no idea. Is there like a filter on or something? No, there's no filter.
Siri is already turned on.
Thanks, Siri. Appreciate your help.
You can ask me things like, hey Siri, what time is it in Los Angeles? Hey Siri, what's the movie Rocket Man about? Or, hey Siri, tell me about Muhammad Ali.
Oh, we have some choice words for Siri right now.
Okay, she sounds good? Okay. Well, I just hope this doesn't anything go wrong with this as a result. All right, I'm going to do a little more recording here.
For having this discussion with me.
My pleasure. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. So next week is the CSUN Accessible Tech Conference, and Steve and I will be going there again like we do every year, and Amos is actually going to be there. So this interview was recorded in January. We're going to see him here in March when I believe he said he was about to actually start shipping on Glide. So we may get a little bit of an update from him this week, and I'll let you know.
Actually, what he said, they would start a beta program in this late spring.
Oh, okay. I'll say that.
Much for having this discussion with me.
My pleasure. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Well, this coming week is the CSUN Accessible Tech Conference, and Steve and I will be going there like we do every year and doing more interviews. And Amos is actually going to be there, so we'll be able to find out how well this beta program is going. I think he was going to start it in late spring. He might be ready to launch, and maybe we can get some new information since this was recorded in January. We might know even more this coming week. Yeah, it's a really cool thing. I mean, I was definitely able to walk around and be navigated around.
It's worth describing a little bit about the unit. Because you stopped the recording before you described it.
Yeah, the best way to describe it, actually, I could go get one because we have one in the corner. Have you ever seen those kids' toys that have like a long stick with a handle on it and then a little round thing that's popping little balls and the kids run it around and it goes pop, 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 pop. They're annoying as all get out.
It emulates a lawnmower, I think, for
yeah.
kids.
Yeah, the popcorn popper. Yeah, well, so that's what it looks like. So Steve's giving you a picture now too. But as you're walking, if it senses, it's got all kinds of sensors and cameras and stuff on it. It gives you feedback into the handle when it senses an obstruction, and it'll actually kind of guide you to move to the left or to the right. So the wheels sort of turn a little bit. You can override it and go whatever you want to do, but it gives you this guidance with your hand to tell you, yeah, you probably want to go to the left a little bit. And then if something is directly in front of you, it'll bring you to a complete stop.
Something just changed in your sound.
I heard it too.
That was noticeable.
Like I've got a neck, like it's different from this ear to the other. They're not the same.
I don't know what that was, but I'm listening to you not through Discord. I'm listening through the
But look at the waveform while I'm talking on the bouncy things in what do you call in Hindenburg. The left and the right are not the same.
Right.
Does
I don't
it
know
sound?
what's going on there. I wonder if your cable,
He says it sounds like clipping now.
well, you're a little hot on one side there.
I am.
Is your audio cable secure?
I don't.
Adjust, make sure that's secure at both ends.
But I mean, I certainly didn't touch it or anything in the middle of that.
No.
Louder and a little muted or muffled. Yeah, what is going on here?
Yeah, that's odd.
Okay, does that sound any different?
Yeah.
It does. So I just stopped and restarted the audio hijack session.
Well, maybe Audio Hijack got its pants in a bunch.
Okay, let me just do a little recording here and see if it's different. Okay, now I'm talking. This is me talking. I don't care if we talk about soup or not talking.
Best in show.
Very good. Recorded in January. We might know even more this coming week. Okay, now I'm talking. This is me talking. Wow, that's a lot different.
So you think it's
Yeah.
Audio Hijack?
I guess. But all I did was stop and restart the session.
Yeah.
Well, this is fun.
I had a little audio anomaly, and I had to stop and restart Sound Source.
Ooh. Really?
Not this session, but a week ago or so.
Huh.
All right.
Alrighty.
Shall we move?
Yep. I'm working the whole time you're talking.
You're working.
I'm working right here.
I'm working right now.
Okay, this is what we're going to be talking about.
Ooh. Good. It was empty there.
Memory issue and sound source. Yeah. All right. This was a hard review. I made a rule way back when I started podcasting nearly 19 years ago that I would only review products that were either good or great. I've gotten comments from a few people that say they really wish I'd review bad products too when I come across them, because then people would know to stay away from them. Well, that doesn't sound like any fun to me at all. If a software or hardware product has promise but doesn't quite hit the mark, my strategy is to send constructive feedback to the company telling them what I think they can do to improve. It seems more polite and friendly overall, and I think it serves the public interest better that way. Well, this week, I've had a real struggle trying to review something. The problem is that there are nearly as many pros as there are cons to the products, which you'd think would take it out of the running. But Steve and I love the products so much, we keep buying them. It's not a love-hate relationship. It's more of a love, you disappoint me intermittently relationship, if that makes any sense. I've been waffling for 2 weeks on whether and how to do the review, and I decided the best path was to do the review, but constantly waffle back and forth on whether I should recommend it. That's really the only honest way for me to do it, and I really do love the products, but it's going to be a smidge more uneven than it would be otherwise. Okay, with that annoying preamble aside, I'll stop being mysterious and tell you that the products are the heated mugs and cups from Ember. You may remember that we interviewed Jake Singer from Ember at CES this year, where he talked about the mugs, tumblers, travel mugs, and even baby bottle warmers they make. If you've been around for a while, you may also remember that I reviewed the Ember ceramic mug in 2018, and we interviewed them at CES way back in 2016, 3 months before they launched their first product. So here's the deal. Steve and I both like our coffee hot, and if it gets too cool, we'll run to a microwave to heat it back up. But in the 6 years since we bought our first Ember mugs, Steve and I have been delighted to have coffee that stays hot while we sip it throughout the morning. Well, so what's not to like? Ember mugs keep the coffee hot by using an internal battery, which is charged by placing it on a little saucer that's plugged into the wall. The saucer has 2 pogo pins sticking up that make contact with circular metal rings on the bottom of the cup, and that makes the electrical connection to charge the device. The new containers, like the tumblers. The new containers, try that again. The new containers, like the tumblers and the travel mug, all use this same basic design to charge the devices. The problem is that the saucers are highly failure prone. The little pins have a tendency to get pushed in, which makes it impossible to charge the cups. Early on in our Ember journey, you had to buy a whole new mug/saucer combo, so it was pretty expensive when they failed. Eventually, they started selling the saucers by themselves, which made it a little bit less painful when the pins inevitably went bad. Now, the regular cup/saucer combo runs $130 to $150, depending on whether you want the 10-ounce or the 14-ounce cup. And replacing the saucer will cost you $40. That's an awful lot of money to keep your coffee or tea hot. But still, we bought the new ones when the old ones failed us because we love having our coffee stay hot. Now, I have a 10-ounce and Steve has a 14-ounce regular cup, which are a couple of years old. Shortly around the time we interviewed Ember at CES this year, we started having new problems with our cups. Keeping your cup at the optimal temperature requires a Bluetooth connection between your phone and the cup. My cup would maintain that Bluetooth connection and stay toasty hot, but only when the cup was on the saucer. If I held the cup in my hand too long, it would just start to cool down. Steve's cup found a way to be even more annoying. Like mine, his cup would not connect to Bluetooth if it wasn't on the saucer. But even worse, it only stayed connected right after he'd poured in brewed coffee that was hotter than his set temperature of 145 degrees. So let's say it was 165 when he poured it in, it would stay Bluetooth connected right until it got cooled down to 145, and then it would disconnect. That's also known as not heating his coffee. It had one job, right? Well, we started looking at the newer offerings of Ember after CES. Now, Bart recently bought the new Ember travel mugs at $200 each for himself and his darling beloved. These are really cool because they have the temperature displayed on the outside, and you can tap the plus button to increase the temperature without messing around in the app. It even shows the battery level on a second display. They're tapered down so they fit nicely in a cup holder, and they also feature built-in Find My, which is great if you let your mug wander and use an iPhone. Now, the only downside to the Ember travel mug is it's only 12 ounces. We like to order grande mochas at Starbucks, which are 16 ounces. We opted to replace both our at-home Ember mugs and our inexpensive plastic mugs for Starbucks with just a 16-ounce Ember tumbler. Now, the tumbler lists on the Ember website for the same $200 as the travel mug, but Amazon has it for 20% off now, so it's only $160. So we got our 16 ounces of happiness. These tumblers are great. They keep our coffee hot and toasty for hours because they have a big battery. They say it'll keep the liquid at 135 degrees for 3 hours, and I'm sure I get at least 2 hours at 145 degrees, which, by the way, is the maximum temperature. They come with 2 lids. One is a screw-on lid with a handle, which is great if you want to carry it around, but it's not great because you can't drink out of it without unscrewing the top. The second lid is a press fit that's quite snug, and it has one of those sippy cup thingies that you slide back and forth to open it up for the sipping. It works really well, and we've had no spillage from it. In fact, if you have the sippy thing closed, it's pretty hard to shove into the tumbler because it's such a snug fit. I also find who lets their tumbler use an iPhone? I also find it pleasing to drink directly out of the tumbler with no lid at all. Since it's constantly heating my coffee, it doesn't cool down because I have the lid off. I tend to drink my first cup of coffee from home with the lid off, but my Starbucks coffee with the lid on. Now, I mentioned the nice long battery life, but that comes at a price. The price we pay for 2 to 3 hour battery life is that the Ember tumblers. Come on, mouth's getting dry. That comes at a price. Comes at a price. The price we pay for 2 to 3 hour. The price we pay for 2 to 3 hour battery life is that the Ember tumblers are heavy. And by heavy, I mean more than a pound. There's 17 ounces or 487 grams to be specific, and that does not include the weight of the lid, and that's without any liquid in it. I'm not kidding when I say if you have any trouble with hand or wrist strength, the Ember tumbler might not be for you. Now, the Ember travel mug that Bart bought isn't that much lighter. It weighs 15.2 ounces or 432 grams. And remember, it holds a quarter less liquid than the tumbler. Now, the weight isn't a huge deal for us, and since the tumblers keep our coffee hot and nice and hot, we really love them. Except on the rare occasions, happen to each of us once in about a month, when the app decides your cup is empty. When it gets in that mood, there's not a darn thing you can do to convince it that you really do have coffee left and you really would like it heated, please and thank you. But 95% of the time, it's been rock solid. The travel mug that Bart bought is designed to fit nicely in a cup holder in your car, but the tumbler most definitely is not. We can't squish it down into our rubber-lined cup holders hard enough to hold it securely in place, but the bottom of the tumbler is still a good inch above the base of the cup holder. Makes me nervous, but we've had no cases where it tipped over. If you want to measure your own cup holders to see if a tumbler will fit in yours, the tumbler is 3.3 inches or 83 millimeters in diameter. When we repeatedly bought the regular coffee mugs, we bought them in different colors so we could tell them apart. I'd buy white, Steve would buy black. The next time I bought silver and he bought how hard is that? When we repeatedly bought the regular coffee mugs, we bought them in different colors so we could tell them apart. I'd buy white and he'd buy black. The next time I bought silver and he bought the copper colored one. The Ember tumbler comes in any color you want as long as it's black. I'm going to have to break out my Cricut and make a cute little sticker for mine so we can tell them apart. So do you see why I had so much trouble writing about the Ember tumbler and all of the Ember products? At the high prices they charge, their heated mugs and tumblers are definitely luxury items, and you would think that for these prices you'd get a product that would last longer than they do. I'm afraid their customer service isn't great either. On their website, they show product reviews. The tumbler we bought has 220 reviews, 108 of which are 5-star, but 53 of which are 1-star. Nearly all of the 53 said they had trouble contacting customer service. Recently, Steve wrote a lengthy request to customer service for his little mug, and he has not heard back from them in the 2 or 3 weeks since he wrote to them. I'm pretty sure it was out of warranty, but you'd expect some sort of response. When you buy an Ember mug, you can buy a 2-year warranty for the tumbler for $19 from the Ember site. So that might not be the worst idea if I haven't convinced you not to buy one. Should you buy an Ember mug of any kind? All I can say is I was really happy when I stopped by a friend's house for a quick chat that turned into an hour visit, and when I returned to my car, my coffee was still nice and hot. I want to check something. I might have said the same sentence twice there. If you want to measure your own cup holders to see if a tumbler will fit in yours, the tumbler is 3.3. We repeatedly bought the... No, I'm good.
Good.
So... check the error codes when the tumbler is saying it's empty. Is it generating a 418 response code? 418, I'm a teapot. Oh, that's funny. But we really do love them, right, Steve?
Yeah, when they work, and as you said, the tumbler's been working pretty well, except that one case. You know, it's not... Excuse me.
Wait.
that error we got when it said the cup was empty and stopped heating.
Yeah.
It wasn't the case that, we were getting, at least for me, I was getting close to the bottom, so it might have been, on the edge of detecting liquid or not. It was nearly full. It was at least 3/4 full.
You
I
think
don't
I
know
should have
what
mentioned that?
algorithm. No, I don't think so. I'm trying to understand what algorithm they use. My guess is it's the how quickly the temperature changes when the heating element's on, because there's no way to measure the weight of the liquid. So it's probably using the only sensor it has, which is temperature. And if you have little or no liquid, it's going to wildly fluctuate. If the heating element
It keeps
turns
it
on,
pretty hot if it's down at the bottom. By the way, Sandy's trying to tell us Kevin was kicked out of Discord and can't get back in.
kicked out. I see him there.
Oh, he is there.
He's there. Doesn't appear to be kicked out here.
Oh, he just disappeared.
Oh. Discord is doing some weird stuff. I wonder if this is what John went
Well,
through.
we kicked John out, and he managed to get back in. Played hide and go. Maybe you can help him, John. I wonder if he can chat. Well, you got him. You got him on Telegram, right, Steve?
Yeah, we're talking.
Okay. All right. I'm going to keep going. I've been trying to get rid of that guy for years.
Discord did it for you. I don't know how to get someone back on. Maybe John should give Kevin some advice here.
Maybe. I wonder if he's chattable in Discord, just not in the, like he's in Discord, but not in the chat room. Okay, I'm going to let you worry that. I'm going to record.
All right.
Did you learn anything so far today listening to the show? If you did, is it of any value to you? Do you learn things often from the NosillaCast or watching the fine videos Steve produces from CES and other shows? If so, please consider going to podfeed.com/Patreon and pledging a small amount to help keep the shows going. Thanks to everyone who already does this. It makes a huge difference. Security bits. Well, we are almost done. If that's any consolation to Kevin. Get ready to hear Plink pretty soon, Steve.
Okay.
Steve's not listening. Let's see. Oh, that's how I wanted. Slide that about there. What do you think? About maybe there. Okay. Ready? Ready? Pre-plink prep? That's hard to say.
Blink. Well done.
All right. Let's see. I'm going to cut that. And I'm going to get rid of that one. Get rid of that one. And we'll move this one up. And let's... Actually, you're supposed to be down there. And these... Let's go see right about that. Okay. Oop, oop, oop. Chapter mark. Kevin wasn't here, and I forgot the chapter mark.
Good catch.
And that's the one I think is really important.
Did you put one on the support the show?
I did. See where it says support the show right here?
Hard to read from here.
Oh. Okay, let me see how this sounds. Huge difference. Well, it's that time of the week again. It's time for Security Bits with Bart Bouchatz, and I see a shamrock on the date there, Bart. Isn't that cute?
I thought you might notice that one. Yeah, I like my little emojis, me. Especially since we spent so long getting them working again on podfeet.com.
Yeah, I don't know whether anybody noticed, but we had for quite some time, many, many months, we had no emoji. Well, actually, we had the real simple emoji. The ones that were only one character emoji were working for some reason. Then Bart and I spent a great deal of time figuring out why and doing encoding and stuff. And now they look beautiful again.
Yes. And what the listeners can't see is I have my Ireland jersey on, which is beautiful and green, and I have my greenest Apple Watch band on. So I am fully in the St. Patrick's Day spirit here today.
Well, that's good. As well you should. You know, I'm kind of tempted to have Steve come in here and listen to the two different ways the sound sounds to me. Like, I recorded this today, and my voice is completely different.
Okay.
I didn't record with Hindenburg. All right,
You want me
Steve.
to come in?
Yeah, I want you to come in and hear this. Okay, don't say anything about me while I'm gone. Okay, so this is going to be what I recorded tonight, and then I'm going to jump and pick it up over here. I'm pledging a small amount to help keep the shows going. Thanks to everyone who already does this, it makes a huge difference. It's that time of the week again. It's time for Security Bits with Bart. What is different? What is the...
Play it again?
Which one?
Both. Just a little bit.
Pledging a small amount to help keep the shows going. Well, it's that time of the week again. It's time for Security
The
Bits
first
with
one
Bart
is
Bouchard.
Heavier on the right channel, and you're right, it does sound a little bit back.
Yeah, how could it?
I don't know. I don't get it.
Very strange. Okay, but yeah, it sounds like it's back.
And the right channel's stronger.
And it's not the headphones because,
Right.
yeah, very strange. I do not know what's going on. It's very weird. All right. Bart confused me with listen to the end of Security Bits.
Indeed. Anyway, folks, the key takeaway message, as always, remember to always stay patched so you always stay secure.
Always stay patched so you always stay secure. All right, you got to the good parts. I am going to go ahead and record in this weird audio. I hope this doesn't end up weird. Here we go. Well, that's going to wind us up for this week. Did you know you can email me at allison@podfeed.com anytime you like? If you have a question or a suggestion or a review, just send it on over. Remember, everything good starts with podfeed.com. You can follow me on Mastodon. How do you do that? podfeed.com/Mastodon. If you want to listen to the podcast on YouTube or see the fantastic videos that Steve is making, you can go to podfeed.com/YouTube. If you want to join in the conversation, you can join our Slack community by going to podfeed.com/Slack, where you can talk to me and all of the other lovely Nosilla castaways. You can support the show by going to podfeed.com/Patreon, or if you want to do a one-time donation, that's always open too at podfeed.com/PayPal. And if you want to join in the fun of the live show, head on over to podfeed.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time and join the friendly and enthusiastic Nosilla castaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. Oh, shoot. I was going to make a joke about you getting thrown out. You can support the show by... God, I've got to figure out what that is.
Yeah, it happened a couple times while you were recording as well. Jill and I were
What
hearing
did?
it. The change in audio.
That I didn't hear. I heard it that one time when I said it, but I didn't hear it again.
Yeah, maybe while you're recording. Can you hear it while you're recording or just playback?
I could hear it while I was recording. I was actually not recording. I was just talking, and I heard it just suddenly go, it just like got floopy.
Right, but
like
have you heard
switched
it
to-
while you're recording?
I have
Because that's
not.
when we heard it, and maybe you
I have
didn't.
not. When was it?
Okay. Oh, I can't recall. It was.
Oh, well, that's not helpful.
I didn't want to interrupt. We didn't want to interrupt your recording.
You could have made a note, the timestamp.
No.
All right, let's see.
I don't have
Stay
access to your
subscribed.
timestamp.
Sure you do. It's
No, I
right in
don't.
front of you.
I can't. Okay, I can't read. Oh, maybe I can. I guess it's at the bottom there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's this giant number.
Yeah. It is bigger
All
than-
right. Well, I think we're ready, and I'm going to export this, and I'm going to hope nothing gets weird on the export. I'm nervous. I'm anxious that this is going to sound strange on like some weird thing going on. I may do a reboot and just record a little blurb after this to see what happened, see if it's anything there. But thank you, everybody, for coming. It's 5:49. I'm going to let
very
class
much.
out early.
Yes, they've earned it.
mean-
and then they can go celebrate the rest of St. Patty's Day.
All righty. Bye, everybody. Bye, Rose.